if you're raising children in two different homes, as a father, how much guilt do you feel about not providing them that traditional home like most of their friends? How much guilt do you feel around not feeling like your life is stable? How much guilt do you feel around maybe you feel like you can't properly take care of yourself because of the ups and downs here, there? So I know a lot of dads feel like this, and I don't want this video to sway people away from watching it if they are in a traditional home. Because the reality is, a lot of the things I'm going to talk about, you could be living under the same roof 365 days a year with your children and still feel some of this guilt around showing up. So if you are a co-parent like myself, 1000% this will resonate probably on every single angle. And like I always say, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, you know? And I think the first thing I want to talk about around this guilt is the comparison trap, right? How many times have you gone to your kids' activities, basketball games, or whatever, and you may see that they have that family unit? I used to always let that affect me until I realized, what's truly important is not the one roof, right? What's really important is the love that they're getting under both roofs. As long as that's stable and they reflect that and how happy they are when on a random Thursday, when they're talking to somebody, how happy they truly are, they reflect that with how they treat others, then that's what really matters. The love has to be there under both roofs. So I'm telling you, sometimes I still do it because my son plays basketball year round. And every time I go to his games, sometimes I just get this itch. I'm like, dag, man, this young man has both of his parents here supporting. The reality is my son does too, right? And the reality is sometimes I look at some of those parents and the dad may not show up, the mom may not show up because they just may not like basketball. Or sometimes they have other things they got to take care of. They got other children and other activities. Caleb is lucky in a way where it doesn't matter whose day it is or whose weekend it is on the schedule. If he has a game, he knows both of his parents will be there. I prioritize that. So at the end of the day, I gotta stop comparing myself to all the other families out there because whatever they are providing for their child in that one home, I know for a fact my children are getting that in separate homes. And that's what matters. It's the love inside of the home that matters, not the fact that it's one home. Another thing that I struggle with is the idea that, my life isn't stable. I'm always feeling like I'm in the car, I'm driving here, I'm driving an hour to pick my kids up, and it could just feel like it's not stable. And something that I know a lot of y'all who are in a co-parenting dynamic like myself will relate to, and that is, I say it all the time, I say, I feel like I live in my car. The reality is I don't live in my car, but if I continue to say I live in my car, that's the energy I'm putting out there, then I'm forever going to feel like that, right? I'm forever going to live an hour away if I continue to put that in my subconscious. So now I use my car rides to go pick up my children as like a spiritual time for me. I practice my breathing in the car. I practice sensations. I practice, what does it feel like to take a deep breath in and feel my hands on the steering wheel, feel my body on the seat cushion as I'm driving. These are ways that I can practice being mindful on my way to pick up my kid, as opposed to being like, oh, here I go again in a car. Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Here I go again in the car, taking these long drives. I also always used to feel like I can't take care of myself when I'm with my kids. And this is, I know you got to relate to this because especially as a co-parenting dad, it's weird. You would think, okay, half the week you should be great. But once again, it's routine. So if you're living with your kids every day, it's a little bit easier to get into a routine where for me, I'll have some sort of routine, then bam, it's disrupted. Some sort of routine, then bam, it's disrupted. And I used to always tell myself, like, man, I just can't be consistent. I can't take care of myself when I'm with my kids. And the reality is, I have to find ways to co-care. And that's what I've been doing. And co-care, all I mean by that is you got to take care of yourself and you got to take care of your kids, right? And you just got to find little ways to do that. Like, for example, my daughter is the most I want to cuddle you person in the world. 3 years old, just wants to sit with her head on my shoulder on the couch. Why would I not take that opportunity to read, right? So what we've been doing is, like, she'll watch her show on Netflix or something and she'll be on my lap and she'll be watching Netflix, and I'll just take 30 minutes out of that time to read. I'm watching the show with her, we're talking, and then we're going to move on and do something else. But I just read for 30 minutes, where if I just had this mind frame like, oh, I can't do nothing for myself when I'm with my kids, I wouldn't be able to do that. And if you read 30 minutes, that's good for your mind. Sometimes if my children are with me, I will just remove myself from the dynamic. My son is 13, my daughter is 3. They're okay for a few minutes. And I'll just go upstairs and I'll sit on my meditation cushion for 10 minutes and I'll just watch my breath, right? But if I keep telling myself I can't take care of myself when I'm with my kids, then that's what the universe is going to show me. And I'm not even going to think to take this 10 minutes to go upstairs on my cushion and just watch my breath. Eating, I used to always feel like, oh, I can't eat well when I'm with my children. I always eat junk, until I realized, like, my daughter is one of the most, can I cook with you, daddy, people in the world. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make use of this. So especially when they're with me on the weekends, especially on Sunday, I'm like, you know what, Kenley, you want to cook with me? And she's like, yeah. And then I'll take the opportunity. I'll put a stool in the kitchen and she'll help me, measure things, and I hold her and she'll dump the things in the cup for me. I'm actually cooking while I'm bonding with my kid. You know what I mean? So, but once again, if I continue to tell myself I can't do these things, then that's what my reality will be. So I guess one of the biggest things I want to show you in this video is the idea of removing that negative self-talk, removing that doubt. Something else I used to do a lot is compare myself to the moms of my kids, right? And I'm just like, what am I providing for them that their moms aren't, or what are their moms providing for them that I'm not? And I talk about this a lot. I'm open about this a lot, where, my son's mom and her family, they have the resources to go to, they take my son all over the place, Aruba, Disney cruises, they go all over. And I'm at a point in my life where I'm not quite there yet. So I can't give my son all of these experiences, but what's important is that when my son is with me, whatever experiences that we do, he is loved and he's having a great time. So if that's just watching Martin on Netflix, if that's going to the park hooping, if that's going to Six Flags, that's going to get ramen, whatever that I can do for him in this moment, it lights him up. And that's all that matters. We don't want to miss the true joy on our children's faces because we keep thinking about, oh man, their mom can do this for them and I can't do this right now. Experiences are going to come and it's going to go. Resources are going to come and they're going to go. So don't trip. There's going to be a time where you're going to be able to do everything in the world that you put your mind to with your kids. And that's what I've been locked in on recently, is truly believing that. Another thing that I feel like I talk a lot about in my co-parenting dynamic is feeling undervalued. Sometimes I feel like I'm unheard. And the best thing you could ever do if you ever feel not worthy or anything is just find evidence. So I quickly find evidence that that's BS. You know what I mean? Am I undervalued? I don't know, because my son tells me all the time that he gets a lot of his worldview and his way he treats people and the way he looks at life spiritually. He tells me that he gets that from me. So I feel very valued that I'm actually having an impact on how he wants to treat others and how he views the world. That's great. Do I feel unheard sometimes? I sure do, but there's ways to navigate that. My son's mom, I used to feel like she had no respect for me. We had a 3-year custody battle. It was brutal from 2017 to 2020. And I used to always feel like this woman has no respect for me. And I kept saying that to myself and saying that to myself. And guess what? Because I kept saying that, that's probably exactly what she was picking up on my energy. And she would not, I felt, have any respect for me until I changed my viewpoint on that. I'm like, you know what? Whatever she has going on when it comes to this custody battle, she truly feels that that's in the best interest of our son. I truly feel like whatever I got going on is in the best interest of our son. And once you are able to admit that and be emotionally aware enough to admit that, then a lot of the fighting, a lot of the nitpicking, that goes away. Now now when I talk to her about any issues I have, I lead with, hey, I'm not coming with any, you know, impure intentions. This is my intention for this conversation, and this is how I feel. And typically she'll respond and she'll say, oh man, I didn't even know you felt that way. I apologize. That's not how I meant that. And we work through it. We were not able to do this a few years ago because I already had my mind made up about how she's perceiving me. And because I had my mind made up like that, that's exactly how I felt her actions were perceiving me. But it starts with me, right? It starts with us. So I just wanted to quickly leave that here and to let you know, don't compare yourself to anybody else in a traditional family. If you're in a traditional family, find the time to still be with your kids present. Find your time to be a present force. Find the time to take care of yourself, because somebody could say the same thing that they're with their kids every day. They might say, because I'm with my kids every day, I can't take care of myself. And I assure you, the reason why you can't take care of yourself is because you're telling yourself that, right? We can find the time to be still. We can find the time to fill our cups, and we can find the time not to feel bad about wanting to take care of yourself. Don't feel bad about that, right? You're doing yourself and your kids a disservice by not showing up fully you, fully charged. And yeah, you know, find evidence. Any negative thing you could ever think about yourself as a dad on this journey, find evidence that says otherwise. Yeah, that's all I got for today. Please consider subscribing to the Inner Journey Dad newsletter. Check out my 365 Dad journal, a mindful dad journal that I created for fathers, 365 prompts. The link is in the show notes. This is not a show, but you get it. I have also a inner child and shadow work guide that's in the description as well. Please feel free to comment and be okay with being vulnerable. This is a space where I want dads to be okay to be vulnerable on topics like this. Check out the podcast for a deeper dive on this topic.